One of the reasons I wanted to interview you is to tell you that another very important TV movie you made was in 1991, really impacted my generation of gay men on a very deeply emotional level. It was called Our Sons. You
Yes.
and Julie Andrews played the mothers of sons who were lovers, one of whom was dying of AIDS. And I want you to know, Anne Margaret, how much that movie meant to those of us who were estranged from our families in those days. Thank you so much for making that movie.
Oh my God. I was thrilled to be able to do it. And I'm so happy to hear that you understood why I was doing it. And it was for everyone, you know.
There's nobody who does what you do in the way that you do it, and the work you put in beforehand, and the non-judgmental, approving way you have. It made me look forward to this, and it's been everything I thought and hoped it would be.
I'm so glad I got to meet you. You're so gracious and loving and adorable. You just love what you do. See, I understand that because I love what I do and you love what you do. It's great. You're wonderful at it.
I'm going to be doing a musical on Broadway soon.
Tell us about it. Can you talk about it?
Oh, yes. It's called The Queen of Versailles. And Kristen Chenoweth's starring it, and I play her husband. It's remarkable. So when that happens, I hope you come down and see it as my guest.
I love your questions, and I can tell you are a former judge because they're well-reasoned and well-spoken.
I don't think I've ever had an interview in all these years with somebody as prepared as you've been and as detailed as you've been and as kind as you've been. So I really thank you very, very much. And I'm truly grateful for this experience. Thank you.
The really interesting thing about your career when I started doing my research is that you have portrayed a number of other real people over the years. I mean, listen to this. You played John Wilkes Booth on stage. You played the Marquis de Lafayette in Valley Forge. You played Thomas Andrews in Titanic. You played Mayor Moscone of San Francisco in Milk. You played Prince Charles, now King Charles III, in William and Catherine, A Royal Romance. You played Canadian Ambassador Kenneth Taylor in Argo. You've played Ernest Hemingway, Lord Louis Mountbatten, and I'm sure I'm missing at least a few. Do you enjoy playing real people?
I actually have to lie down now. I'm overwhelmed.
Do you need a nap?
I'm so tired.
But I get the feeling that this is the first time someone sat down with you and really put it in front of you, the different things you've done. Is that right?
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. That's why I'm kind of stumbling with what to say, because it is a kind of overwhelming.
You made me cry. I can't even talk now.
You directed season 3 of Ellen DeGeneres' sitcom, Ellen. Why didn't you stay on to direct the next season when she came out?
Wow, that's a great question. No one's ever asked me that. That's a great question. You're amazing at your job. I mean, you're amazing.
I think actors have to learn how to take rejection, which is impossible. I mean, nobody likes to be rejected. And no matter what you do, it's always disappointing. So when I was teaching, I thought to myself, one of the great gifts I might be able to bestow upon my young students and actors is how to deal with that situation. And I came up with the idea. I said, when you go into an audition, think to yourself that you are auditioning them. You're not being auditioned. You're auditioning them. You're there to test whether or not you want to work with them.
Well, you've known a number of celebrities over the years who've had a lot of trouble managing fame and the ups and downs of a show business career. Not only John Belushi, John Candy, Chris Farley, others. What do you think is the healthiest way for a big star to cope with being famous?
Do your work. Do the work. Just stick with the work. The work will save you and be your salvation.
I get a great feeling from you, Harvey. I hope I get to meet you live in person one day. You're just wonderful. I loved your questions and your whole manner. It's a delight to meet you.
You know, Chaz, when you look back at your childhood and you compare your life with the lives of the other kids you grew up with, are you surprised that you've had the success you've had?
No, I've always, I hate to sound like that, but
I always knew I was going to be a success.
Well, Mr. Rubenstein, it's been an enormous pleasure meeting you and having this opportunity to talk with you about your monumental career. I think you can tell I've been quite a fan for a long time, and I'm
Yeah,
honored.
you know more about me than anybody I've ever run into. It's sort of amazing.
You're a nurturing interviewer. You make me want to tell the truth a lot. You're very nice.
Was there ever a specific moment when you were filming Airplane when you thought to yourself, oh my God, I'm in a movie that's going to be a huge hit?
No, we tried hard not to let that creep in once we started thinking there was something there.
Well, it's been a real honor, and Harvey, you did a great job, and I appreciate it. And like I say, I wish I could talk to you every morning and say, okay, that's who I am.
Harvey is so detailed with your questions, and it's because you have been a judge. Do people know that?
Yeah, they know.
They know it. You can tell you are very thorough, and it's really, I can see it. I mean, you're really good at what you do. You're really good.
Well, thank you, Harvey, for a really interesting interview with you. Your research is, 100%. I mean, you know more than I do about myself.
Harvey, it's been a pleasure talking to you, and you certainly did your research. I'm very impressed. Thank you very much. You've made my day.
I've watched your show, and I've thought of all those incredible artists and guests you've had on, and now I'm one of them. So that's another like really exciting moment in my life. So thank you very much.
Can I tell you, thank you for all the hard work you did, all the studying to get all those facts right. When you were listing off all these facts and figures, I'm going, this guy knows who I am. This is wonderful.
You have such a strong sense of the power of your music as a songwriter and as a performer, and you validate and you uplift people. And I think that's one of the reasons why you have such a huge and loyal following, including within the gay community. And it means the world to us. I just want you to know that.
Holding my heart.
Now, a few years ago, you were brave enough to disclose to the world that you had been dealing with a number of very difficult mental health challenges having to do with body dysmorphia, eating disorder. You also had to deal with your parents' divorce. How are you doing now, Jackie? How are you feeling?
It's still a journey. With that stuff, I think I'm in a stable place. The other half of me is still very much struggling with what I struggle with. I'm not afraid to say I'm struggling. Of course I'm going to struggle. I grew up in the industry.
So when you think of Lou Ferrigno, the child that you were, who so desperately wanted to be somebody, are you proud of what you've accomplished in your life?
Yeah, I'm very proud. I'm very happy because I know that I never have to look over my shoulder because there's nothing I have done that's been disrespectful to anyone. I have no skeletons in my closet. And I'm very happy with myself. I have nothing to prove, and I'm just happy that every day I wake up, I have my health, knowing that I put a smile on my face and I enjoy life to its fullest.
Can you recall the most important career advice you ever received?
When I was shooting Bonnie and Clyde, I was working on a show with Larry too, and I came in one day and I realized that I'd fallen in love with movies. I wanted to do movies, but the lifestyle was not something that I thought I could deal with. And so we were walking back and Larry said, something's up with you. What's going on? And I said, well, I was at this cast party the other night and there was a lot of stuff going on that and I walked out of it and, but I'd like to do this for my career, but you can't just keep walking out on life. You can't walk out on reality of what it is. And he just looked at me, best piece of advice I ever got. He said, nonsense. You can always walk out on reality.
So tell me, Mr. Duffy, at this stage of your life, would you ever consider taking on a regular role in a long-running TV series again?
Absolutely, I would. I think I have more to give. I enjoy it. There's no reason I wouldn't do another series. It's the best working situation in the world.
Harvey, it's honestly my pleasure. I've heard beautiful things about you, and it was a pleasure to be on your show, and thank you for inviting me.
You've talked to some absolute, icons. Your whole show is just amazing with so much information. So thank you. I'm very honored to be part of it.
So, Andrew, when you're involved in the making of a feature film, are you able to tell if the movie will be a big hit?
No. No. There are always anomalies.
So, when you hear your dad's voice or you watch one of his movies or concert performances on TV, what goes through your mind?
It washes through. It's just him. When he was first gone from us, everything was all Frank. And that gave me it was embracing for me. Nancy couldn't look at him or hear him. I couldn't hear him enough and see him enough. It was just a different attitude.
I must tell you, Miss Susan Anton, I got to see you and Harvey Firestein in the Las Vegas production of Hairspray.
You did.
Choreographed by my dear friend Jerry Mitchell.
He is my dearest friend.
He appeared on our show last year. You played Velma von Tussle. You looked like you were having so much fun on that stage.
I was having too much fun.
Now, before we move on to your Hollywood career, Adrienne, I have to mention that you did something that everyone on Broadway still talks about. You were given only 2 weeks to learn the score of Falsettos, which is a 36-song opera. How in the world did you manage to do that?
Damn, you've done your homework. Wow.
Unbelievably prepared, incredible interviewer, what a host, asked things that I had no idea I've forgotten about, right? You brought up things in my career. So if that doesn't sound familiar to the other guests you've had on this show, then you haven't been watching this show.
You've interviewed so many people and you are so good at it. I'm glad to see that you're doing something that you really love, and, keep going. You keep doing it because you're great.
It was awesome. Best interview I've had in a long time. So thank you for your homework, your integrity, your amazing questions. It really, really makes a difference. A lot of times you do these things and people ask you the same surfacey questions over and over. And so this has just been truly one of the most refreshing interviews I've had in recent memory. So thank you truly for that. I really appreciate it.
So what about writing a book?
Maybe I will. I think the more we've talked today, the more I think that might not be a bad idea. And you've jogged my memory about so many things because your research is impeccable, Harvey. Absolutely impeccable.
Of course, I have to ask you about Taxi, which is widely considered to be one of the greatest TV series of all time. 34 Emmy nominations. It won 18 Emmy Awards. You got 5 Golden Globe Award nominations. And what's amazing to me is that the original plan for the role of Elaine was to have an older actress, but they all fell in love with you, even though you were supposed to be a regular on Paper Chase. Isn't that amazing?
It was crazy. It was like one of those fate things that happens that you just cannot believe.
I believe sometimes when I interview a celebrity that I've never met, a magical kind of chemical connection happens, even over Zoom. And I'm telling you, I feel it today.
Me too. Harvey, you took the words out of my mouth. I back at you.
Do you allow yourself to soak up the fact that you were and are very beloved, that you have a huge fan base of people to whom you brought enormous joy and entertainment into their lives? Do you get that?
I do. I have many more friends than I have ever met.
It's been such a pleasure meeting you, Jim, and having this chance to talk with you. I feel like I made a new friend.
Me too, Harvey. Thank you. Thank you so much for having me on your show. And you are everything that Robert Wagner said you are. You are an excellent interviewer and ask incredibly wonderful questions. So thank you. It's a pleasure to do an interview like this.
Oh, you've talked about your fans. They're incredibly loyal and supportive, not only devoted to the show, but of course to the characters of Doug and Julie. If you could take a moment and speak to your fans right now, what would you say to them?
Thank you for all the letters and the good wishes and the emotional support that I feel regarding my husband's passing. Thank you for the love, the applause, the laughs. Thank you for becoming, in many cases, very close friends, very close and treasured friends. Thank you for your enthusiasm, which lights up an actor's enthusiasm. Thank you for expressing doubts, fears, love, parallels, telling me your stories, listening to ours. You are the treasures
of a technological age where people can be in touch, can let each other know how they feel. Never neglect that. Never resolve to be alone with a book or alone with a good idea. Share it. The world needs you. The world needs all the love you have to give.
I will always now remember Harvey Brownstone.
Thank you, Harvey. You are really a special guy. You are so generous and so hardworking, and you're so smart about everything. Your questions are so sensitive and encouraging. Your manner, your laser focus. You're a really, really special interviewer, and I've done thousands of interviews, but very rarely do I ever have anybody as good, as kind, as talented, as smart, as studied as you are. You're a really, really wonderful person. All the time you put into this, to ask me questions, to look into who I am. You're a very, very, very unique and special man. And I am so honored and grateful that I got to do this with you. There's not many people on this planet like you, not many at all.
I can tell you that you certainly were my inspiration, Mr. Dick Cavett.
Are you kidding?
You were my inspiration as a kid.
Go around saying I'm responsible partly for Harvey Brownstone. Excellent talker, good interview. You did a wonderful job. And I want you to admit right now that you are really good.
Oh, Dick, that means the world to me coming from you, let me tell you. Well, this is a real pinch me moment in my life. I thank you so much for taking the time and giving me the honor of having you appear on our show. Thank you, Dick.
I certainly enjoyed it. And if anyone tries to tell you you don't have what it takes, they're wrong. Now, Harvey, you are one of the people who has learned how to do a very difficult and tricky thing. You're very good at it, and your show is well worth watching. Make Harvey Brownstone part of your life. You wouldn't be sorry.
Thank you to my producer, Steve Silver, my managers, Rick Marcelli and Robin Bragg Marcelli at the Marcelli Company in Hollywood, my director of programming, Robert Monaghan, my PR directors, Eileen Shapiro and Jimmy Starr, and my entire team at the XPTV1 network in the UK.
Thanks for watching. Be sure to check out all the great interviews on the Harvey Brownstone Interviews YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and ring the bell to be notified when new videos are posted.